2012, 33 outages. Response time, outage time was once again hour and 24 minutes. Response was 20 minutes. And in 2013, we had 46 outages for an average time of an hour and a half and 19-minute response time on average. Another interesting fact, if you look at the before the graphs start, they're broken down as to the classification of the outages. Over the 3 years, 2013, we had 21 outages due to equipment failure, 12, same number, 11, 25. Animal outages, basically squirrels on lines generally. We've got at 9 outages attributable to those in 13, 8, and 12, and 12 and 11. So we're running right around 10 a year. So far this year, we're at 7. We're kind of maintaining that. There's one outage this year of note. It's wasn't really technically an outage since no one lost power, but we were getting quite a bit of flickering. It was because the circuit on 191st Street was whipping in the wind. What it was a slack span that the pole had settled and it was in the wind, was starting to ground out. That's since been shielded. I think you all, fortunately, the property owners that was in front of called it in. As Bruce said, they would have been looking for quite a while. Though nobody ever lost power, the lights pretty much the whole area was flickering. Questions of
700 customers affected by that?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I put it on here, because I thought
Well, that's good to know. Okay.
I even saw that on Facebook.
And it's all keyboard transformers.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for Dave on the outage report?
Any questions?
Good report, Dave. Amy?
Okay.
Bruce? Okay, moving on to item 5, discuss a recommendation to City Council for CMA alternate director position. My recommendation as in item 1 is defer that to the next board meeting. If that gets your approval, I'll do whatever you guys want to do.
So moved.
Okay, motion second to defer till the next board meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries to recommend to defer that. Then last on that list is item 6, project update. Dave, you want to start with that?
Yes. Just going to give you a rundown of projects that we're working on. Start off with substation number 1. As you all recall, we had a shortened some of the duct work back in September from a raccoon. Took down the external structure, caused an extensive amount of damage to the control structure in the control house. The exterior damage was repaired in about 4 weeks. However, the damage to the control panels was going to need quite a bit of engineering. Part of the issue we ran into was Darren McNew, who is a licensed electrical engineer, was going to handle the design, then he left for another employment. So the staff retained SIGA to do the design. The as-builts were lacking. There was a considerable amount of time to do the measurements and get that working. Where we are now is the wiring is going to be completed this week. We've had David's working with KCP&L to fix the metering, put in some new potential transformers and current transformers. Correct word? Thank you. I'm a civil, by the way. So, we have Emerson Reliability Systems lined up to do the testing and calibration of the controls next week. Our plan is to have the substation back online by the end of the month. Currently, there are 2 distribution circuits being handled that are normally carried at substation number 1. They have been shifted to substation number 2. The generators, we've been working to finalize a contract with the controls engineer. We're still going back and forth getting that done. Generator 2 will be ready to go back online as soon as the substation is back up. We have some wiring that needs to be completed for generator 1 that was started about the time of the raccoon incident. So we need to get that done before we can bring generator 2 up. We've currently notified the pool that we're offline, and we're still in basically a scheduled outage condition.
You're talking about negotiating on a contract with the engineer for the controls, is that small stuff, or?
Yes, this is.
Still working out a template and all that?
Still working out what's the scope of work.
Gotcha.
It's more just contract details, that
Got it.
we're talking well under, the contract, the initial contract somewhere in the 10,000 range.
I just wanted to confirm my thoughts on that.
Yes.
That's what that was.
Yes. A lot of it is just to have him on standby so we can gain service, and then when we do have specific projects, we'll go ahead and negotiate a specific scope of work for that.
Okay.
Just a little clarification, our control system is one that was built for these units when the units were put online in the early 90s. They originally had the old-fashioned control system, which was a pneumatic mechanical system, and it's replaced with a computerized system. So what we have is a little bit of a hybrid control system, and the gentleman we're talking to is the engineer that basically did the programming for this. We are proceeding. We do have a budget for $10,000 to update our SCADA system. We're continuing. That's in the budget. We'll continue that. Distribution projects. The distribution staff is working on rebuilding the power line that's in the alley between Warren and Park Streets. The total scope is from Oak Street to Sycamore Street. The section in the alley that's west of Center is currently, the poles are up and they're pulling wire now. I think it's an older line. It's one of the early original overhead lines we had in the city, and it's just upgrading it to a 600 amp service. 600?
200 amp.
200 amp, thank you. Also rebuilding an underground circuit in the little commercial area east of Moonlight and south of Center. We had a very small underground run, and then we're just putting in something a little more robust to handle anticipated development. Completed the pole change out on Madison Street, which is just west of Alder Street. Found out when they were working on it, the pole was rotten. So that was a change out. It was complicated because it had 2 circuits crossing at that location. Finally, we do have in the budget funds to replace the parking lot at the distribution center. It's a asphalt parking lot. Some funds were spent trying to patch it. It was acquired several years ago. That failed. Had a geotechnical engineer boring today just so we could get soil samples and get a pavement design to go back with the concrete parking lot. We'll have it surveyed. We'll put the plans together in-house and put out for bid later this year. As far as the North American Electric Reliability Corporation compliance, we had with our staff changes, we kind of lost our contacts. We now have our staff electrical engineer is now signed on with Southwest Power Pool as our contact, so we're able to maintain that reporting. He is also going to go to a workshop in Orlando next week on NERC compliance and gain more understanding as to what we're dealing with. One interesting thing we have is, as you all probably know, we have a 6-inch gas line that connects the generation station on East Santa Fe Street with the Southern Star pipeline south of I-35. I had a KCC inspection, Kansas Corporation Commission inspection of the line 2 weeks ago. We do have some work to do. We'll get our report from that probably within a couple of weeks. We currently have Black Hills Energy, which is a gas utility out of Wichita that conducts the inspections for us. We contract with them. We're working on beefing up that contract. They're currently conducting